Hello, I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. Here we go, opening day. Let's go over the pitching staff, which I'm much more excited about, as I think it's, aside from Mason Miller missing for the bullpen, it's a pretty good looking staff overall. I am happy. I think this is going to finally be a year where we're much more competitive. I don't know if we're going to get into the wild card, but I do think we should be well over the mark of not having to worry about losing 100 games. I think come September, unless we go on like a 20-game losing streak, I feel like losing 100 games is something that's just not going to happen this year. So let's take a look at our number one pitcher, and that is Ryan Johnson. He's a rookie, 50th. As you can see, he's my first prospect, one of the first players I drafted. But he's the first player from any class to make it to the majors, and that was under my regime. Currently, their 50th ranked prospect. He's projected to be a pretty good pitcher. I think that's front line to me. I think he's projected to be at least, in a perfect world, if I had the budget and the money, he would be my number 3 starter. He's got above average stuff, already had above average movement. He's projected to get above average control. He's got a good 4-pitch mix. His slider and sinker are already a plus or better. His changeup can still become a plus, and his cutter is above average. Decent amount of stamina. Velocity is pretty high as well. He's a ground ball pitcher. We have pretty good defense. Not as good as last year with Nick Allen, but he's pretty good. Maybe even ground ball pitcher. I could put Nick Allen in as my starter over Jackson Wilson just to get a better defender there. But it's the offense that I'm worried. Now as you can see here, he did play some his first year, even when he got drafted. Struggled a little bit. Following year, he was in low A. Did really well there. Obviously, earned a promotion. Last year, he did good enough and would have started this year at Double A. But then I just saw him explode right around spring training. I was like, nope, this guy's gonna join my roster. And as you can see, he had a pretty darn good spring training. Up to the second to last start, he hasn't given up a single earned run. Kind of got unraveled by Los Angeles, but then bounced right back against Kansas City. So if he can replicate his spring training, I think we got a solid number one, or a solid pitcher in general for years to come. Our number 2 is Brady Singer. As I said, we did end up trading for him from Tampa Bay. Looks like he had a pretty decent spring training outside of facing his former team, Tampa Bay. It looked like he had a respectable ERA all around. So hopefully if number 1 can hold it down, then number 2 can hold it down. We can have some good pitching. Last year, strictly for Tampa Bay, he worked solely out of the bullpen. They didn't use it, and he looks like he performed extremely well out of the bullpen. It's an elite level ERA. But with me, he's going to go back to being a starter. I just don't think there's a need to have him in the bullpen, at least not for me, because he's more than good enough to be a starter. We need him out, pitching 6 innings or so every game. Our number 3 starter is old, reliable J.P. Sears. He's a veteran now, 30 years old, but he's been reliable for us. Although it looks like he's had a rough spring training, but his track record does suggest that he should have a solid campaign. Nothing outstanding, but nothing terrible. Hopefully he's not due for an injury. That's a lot of innings. 170, 190. Hopefully he does well. Our number 4 starter is a new face, and that is Stevie Emanuels. Nothing spectacular about him. He's got stuff still developing too a little bit. What made him appear back into the starting role is his control went up. Because as you can see, he started at AAA. Every game he played, he started in 2024. And then 2025, he was strictly a bullpen arm where he was solid. .386 out of the bullpen, pretty solid in 67 innings. His control went up. If he can, if this is real and not just some kind of a scouting misaccuracy, he could be a solid starter for us. That would solidify number 4. And then a number 5 starter is Ken Waldachek, 28 years old. Looks like he had a really good spring training, which always scares me, which means they're due for being exploded on. Last year, I would say he did pretty well considering somebody that missed all of 2024 due to injury. So coming back and pitching a combined a little under 100 innings there, 54, 94, 98 innings. So still under 100 innings total, but it's nice to see that he's healthy. So this year, hoping more production and a little better production. And I don't really want to see the ERA climbing up into the 5s. And let's take a look at our bullpen, which was a strength last year. Last year we had what? Last year we had the 5th best bullpen, I think, based off ERA. Our closer this year is Fernando Cruz. I traded for him from Cincinnati years ago, and he's still holding strong. He's 36 years old. His stuff is still really good. I like to credit that to my staff. Like I said, my major league staff, I built it around keeping guys healthy and strong even late in their career. I'm not bringing guys up to the major league level to develop. You should be already developed by the time you get up here, or close to it. You can finish up a little bit, but you don't need your full development shouldn't be up here in the majors. It should be as you come up here, maybe a year in the majors, you finish your developing. 2 years, you get polished up a little bit more. But the major leagues for me is not a place for you to develop. It's a place for you to come out and play your top game and keep you there. So part of keeping you there is hiring staff that do a good job of making sure you maintain your skill set. He's been solid for us ever since I got him. 295 when I got him in 21 innings last year, 53 innings of 285. So really does a good job. It's funny how he only earned 0.1 WAR, even though the year before, in less innings, he got better WAR. I don't know. I'm not really sure how that works. He had a WAR of 1. Last year, better ERA, more saves, more innings. The whip was better. Home run rate was pretty high. He didn't give up any home runs at all. Walk rate was a little worse. Strikeout rate was worse, but the batted balls in play were better. The ERA plus in general was better. So I'm not really sure why he didn't get that much of a WAR. I thought he was pretty good. Anyway, our setup man and our backup closer is Michael Kelly. Still think he's a solid pitcher, although he's kind of losing his stuff. Although he never had the greatest stuff to begin with. This is when it comes down to where I'm praying that we start developing some guys in the minors to bring them up, because we're getting some arms that are aging, and Mason Miller is out, and I have no money to sign new players. So I'm praying we can develop. Then we have Francisco Perez, who's a middle reliever that we try to avoid high leverage with because of his control. Now, he looks pretty darn good. His stuff looks like it could still improve to be nearly plus. He had a monster spring training, no runs given up, or at least no earned runs given up. And he is coming off of, well, I would say a subpar, somewhat respectable, but subpar in my opinion. Last year, nothing outstanding. We'd like to get him back to more of this. 2024 year was much better. So hopefully we can get back to that standard of play. And then we have Zach Jackson. My apologies, Zach Jackson. Very similar to Perez, although he's an older fella. Good stuff. Good about the control is the issue, and of course that random crappy changeup. I don't know why it's in there. Fairly rough spring training. doesn't carry over. Last year, he was a beast in the minors, but didn't last very much in the majors, and then never really got back. That's mainly due to the fact that my bullpen was doing so well. There was no point in sending anybody down. But this year he's got a chance to stick. He just gotta show me that he can stick. Then we have David Leal, who's a long reliever and also my high leverage situation guy because I trust that he doesn't walk anybody and he's not giving up home runs and easy hits. And he had a really strong spring training, so perhaps working out of the bullpen is going to be his strong asset. What do we got here with him? Last year he struggled, although he did go straight from AA to the majors. We needed him. It was an emergency. So he skipped AAA altogether. So last year, he's kind of thrown in the fire. As you can see, he started 16 games. He was in 16 games total, started 7. So he did come out of the bullpen some already. So he's got experience coming out of the bullpen. But that is now his new home. And I don't really see him starting for us as we keep adding more players that are higher rated as a starter. And then we have Kyle Mueller. He's also in the bullpen. He's also our setup man, our emergency, our third setup option if the guys are too tired. Nothing outstanding about him. Rough spring training as well. He went from half bullpen, half starting in 2024 to fully starting last year, where it was a pretty bad year. 5.71 is a rough year. Even though he cut down the home runs, but he increased his walks and allowed more hits. It just wasn't really performing well as a starter. Hopefully, his new home in the bullpen will help him prolong his career. Then we have Joy Boyle. Good old Joe Boyle. He is obviously avoid high leverage. I like him a lot. I wish he had better control. 35 control is really low. Man, this poor kid struggled this spring training, but I don't think that will continue head into the season. Because he's got everything's outstanding. Well, minus that changeup again. I hate when guys do this. Just if he got rid of his changeup, he would be such an absolute monster. But he's got good stuff, movement. The control is his downfall. It will always be his downfall. Last year, I made the mistake of letting him start a few games back in 2024. It did not work out well last year. Strictly out of the bullpen. Did a very good job. I think a 3.87 ERA out of a guy that you're paying the minimum is fabulous. And that's the reason why we're top 5 in that department. And he should be back at it again and doing a good job again. Just wish his control was higher. And then the last part of our rotation is Luis Medina. He is a long reliever and also a mop-up guy. Again, similar to the Joel, but minus the excellent stuff and the movement. He is much better at spring training, though. Last year, he was strictly out of the bullpen, although did absolutely terrible, 6.57. But still, he retained a job because he did okay in the AAA level, which made me think he still's got a chance. And plus, you can't just keep cutting everybody and not giving anyone a chance, and you'll overrun your 40-man roster. You'll end up, waiving 10 guys every spring training because they're all on major league contracts. To avoid that, you try to give a guy a couple to 3 years of prove it or lose it type of situation. So that is our staff. I think it's a very exciting staff, mainly because of Mr. Ryan Johnson. If you look at his history, so he's been a member of the MLB All-Stars prospect. He was an All-Star selection, the California League. He was drafted in 2024 at Dallas Baptist University by me, second round, first pick, 40th overall. Signed for a pretty good bonus there, $2.2 million. Successfully completed his control. He was number 83 prospect to start last year. Made it to the California League All-Star game with the number 74. Participated in the Futures game. Dropped down to number 77. And then he just started becoming good. Outstanding completed training to increase his pitch. So I guess his pitch, it's the outstanding completed training to increase his pitch movement. I think this is the part that set him apart and made him become really good. He was named the 50th overall prospect to start the year, so really excited to get him. I hope does it show his awards? Yeah, I like seeing this part. It's pretty cool. Seeing that he was the 2025 California All-Star Prospects game. This guy's a good player. That is it for this team, or for this video. In the next video, we're going to go over our lineup, which I'm also very excited about. So I'm extremely excited for 2026. That's it. I'll see you in the next video.